Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his forehead as he crawled out from under the engine core. The ship's heartbeat pulsed around him, a steady rhythm that most crew members found comforting. But Jake knew better. Every time he got close to the important parts of the ship, that heartbeat got faster, like the ship was scared. The Starweaver was not like the metal ships humans built. This ship was alive. Its walls were warm and soft to touch. Green veins ran through the corridors, carrying nutrients instead of fuel. The floors felt spongy under his boots. Sometimes Jake could swear the ship was watching him through tiny eye-like sensors that blinked in the walls. Jake had been working on the Starweaver for 6 months now. He was the only human on board. The rest of the crew was made up of different alien species. There was Captain Zara, who looked like a giant praying mantis with purple skin. Her 4 arms moved with perfect grace as she commanded the ship. The engineer team included several Valdari like her, plus some blue-skinned Aquari who were great with the ship's water systems, but it was the elves that Jake found most interesting. They were not so different from humans, except for their pointed ears and the way they seemed to understand plants and living things. Dr. Kira Nightblossom was the chief botanist. She took care of all the living systems on the ship. Her daughter, Lyrale, helped her in the biogardens. Jake picked up his tools and headed to the main corridor. As he walked, the lights in the walls dimmed slightly. This always happened when he passed by. Other crew members had noticed it too. Some whispered that humans were bad luck on bioships. Others said humans were dangerous to ships like the Starweaver. Truth was, Jake did not really understand why the ship acted this way around him. He was just trying to do his job. But he had learned to fix things in ways that surprised everyone. When the water recycling system broke last month, Jake had figured out a solution in 10 minutes that the Aquari specialists said should have taken days. When the navigation biocore started acting strange, Jake had somehow known exactly which nerve cluster to adjust. Captain Zara said he had good instincts. Dr. Kira said he had an unusual way of thinking about problems. But Jake could feel the ship's fear every time he worked on something important. He was heading to his small room when he heard running footsteps behind him. He turned to see Lyrale rushing toward him. Her long silver hair flew behind her as she ran. Her green eyes were wide with worry. "Jake! Jake! Please wait!" she called out. He stopped and waited for her to catch up. Lyrale was usually calm and quiet like most elves. Seeing her so upset made Jake worried too. "What's wrong?" he asked. Lyrale took a deep breath. "It's my mother. She's very sick. The ship can't help her." Jake felt his heart drop. Dr. Kira was one of the few crew members who treated him like a normal person instead of some kind of strange creature. "What happened to her?" "She was doing research on the planet we visited yesterday. She was collecting samples of new plants, but something was wrong with one of them. It had some kind of sickness in it. Now that sickness is inside her." They started walking toward the medical bay together. As they moved through the corridors, Jake noticed the ship's bioluminescent patterns were more active than usual. The walls pulsed with nervous energy. "The medical team tried everything," Lyrale continued. "But the sickness is spreading too fast. It's not just hurting my mother now. It's starting to affect the ship too." When they reached the medical bay, Jake could see what she meant. Dr. Kira lay on a biobed that was supposed to help heal injuries. But instead of the usual healthy green glow, the bed showed patches of dark purple. The sickness was fighting against the ship's healing systems. Dr. Kira looked pale and weak. Her breathing was shallow. The medical officer, a tall blue Aquari, named Dr. Finn, shook his head sadly. "I've never seen anything like this," Dr. Finn said. "The pathogen is too aggressive. Our usual treatments are not working, and now it's starting to spread to the ship's immune systems." Jake looked around the medical bay. All the biosystems that usually glowed with healthy light were now flickering uncertainly. Some showed the same dark purple infection that was in Dr. Kira. "How long does she have?" Jake asked quietly. "Maybe 2 days," Dr. Finn replied. "Maybe less if the ship's systems get worse." Lyrale grabbed Jake's arm. "That's why I came to find you. I've been thinking about something my mother told me once. She said there were old stories about humans and bioships. Stories about how humans could do things that scared the ships." Jake looked at her with confusion. "I don't understand." "The ship is afraid of you, Jake. We all see it. Every time you work on something important, the ship acts nervous. But what if that fear could help us? What if the reason the ship is scared is because humans can do something that other species can't? Captain Zara walked into the medical bay at that moment. Her large, compound eyes focused on Jake. Dr. Finn told me about the situation. We're too far from any medical stations. If Dr. Kira doesn't get better soon, we might lose her. And if the infection spreads more through the ship? Jake asked. Captain Zara's antenna twitched with worry. Then we all might be in danger. Bioships can die from infections like this. I've heard of it happening before. Lyreley looked directly at Jake. I know this sounds crazy, but I think you might be the only one who can save her. The ship fears you for a reason. Maybe it's time we found out why. Jake felt the weight of everyone's expectations settling on his shoulders. He looked at Dr. Kira lying unconscious on the infected biobed. He thought about how kind she had always been to him. He thought about Lyreley's desperate eyes. He thought about the whole crew depending on this living ship that was now getting sick. What do you want me to do? He asked. Help me search the ship's memory banks, Lyreley said. If there are old records about humans and bioships, maybe we can find out what makes the ship so nervous around you. Maybe we can use that knowledge to fight this infection. Jake nodded slowly. Okay, but I don't know anything about bioship. Memory systems. I do, Lyreley said with determination. My mother taught me, and if we're going to save her, we need to work together. As they left the medical bay, Jake felt the ship's walls pulse with what almost seemed like anxiety. The lights flickered more as he passed. For the first time since he had been on the Star Weaver, Jake wondered if the ship's fear of him might actually be useful. Behind them, Dr. Kira's breathing got a little weaker, and the dark purple infection spread a little further through the ship's systems. Time was running out. Lyreley led Jake through corridors he had never seen before. These passages were deeper inside the ship, where the walls glowed with a softer light. The air felt thicker here, almost like breathing inside a living lung. The memory banks are in the ship's core section, Lyreley explained as they walked. My mother brought me here when I was little. She said it was important for me to understand how bioships think and remember things. Jake noticed that the ship's nervous reactions were getting stronger the deeper they went. The walls actually seemed to pull away from him slightly as he passed. Small tendrils that hung from the ceiling drew back when he got close. It really doesn't like me being here, Jake said. I know, but maybe that's exactly why we need to be here. They came to a large circular room with a dome ceiling. In the center was a pool of glowing liquid that looked like liquid starlight. Thin streams of light moved through the liquid like thoughts swimming through a brain. This is it, Lyreley said. The ship's memory core. Everything the ship has ever experienced is stored in here. Jake stared at the pool. How do we search? Through it? Lyreley walked to a bioconsole that grew out of the floor like a mushroom. She placed her hands on its surface and closed her eyes. The console responded to her touch with gentle pulses of light. Elves can interface with biosystems naturally, she explained. It's one of our gifts. I'm asking the ship to show us any memories related to humans. At first, nothing happened. Then the pool began to churn. Images started forming in the liquid light. Jake saw shapes that looked like human figures, but the images were unclear and jumbled. The ship is resisting, Lyreley said with strain in her voice. It doesn't want to remember these things. Can you push harder? I can try, but I might hurt the ship if I force it too much. Jake stepped closer to the memory pool. As soon as his foot touched the edge, the entire room shuddered. The lights flickered wildly, but suddenly the images in the pool became much clearer. Jake, you're amplifying the connection somehow. The first clear image showed a human woman in a white lab coat. She was working on what looked like a bioship's nerve center. The ship's systems were responding to her touch in ways that seemed impossible. That's Dr. Tess Hartwell, Jake read from the memory data that appeared in glowing letters above the pool. 50 years ago, she was studying bioship neural networks. The image changed. Now they saw Dr. Hartwell connecting strange devices to the ship's brain-like core. The ship in the memory was clearly afraid, its biolights flashing in panic patterns. Look at what she's doing, Lyreley whispered. She's not just communicating with the ship, she's actually changing how it thinks. The memory showed Dr. Hartwell, somehow reprogramming the ship's instincts. She made it faster, smarter, more efficient. But the ship looked terrified the whole time. The ship couldn't stop her, Jake realized. That's why they're afraid of humans. We can override their natural systems. More memories flooded the pool. They saw other humans working with bioships over the years. A human engineer named Lisa Park, who taught ships to heal themselves in new ways. A young human hacker called Maya Reeves, who convinced a bioship to sacrifice part of itself to save a space colony. In every memory, the humans are doing things that should be impossible, Lyra Lee observed. They're making the ships do things the ships never thought they could do. Jake studied the patterns. It's not magic. Look at how they're working. They're not following the normal rules. They're finding shortcuts and creative solutions that the bioship's designers never planned for. A new memory appeared. This one was more recent, maybe 20 years old. It showed a human medical officer named Amy Chen working on a bioship that was infected with some kind of disease. The ship was dying, its systems shutting down one by one. Watch what she does, Jake said, pointing at the image. Dr. Chen was not using normal medical procedures. Instead, she was talking to the ship like it was a patient. She was convincing it to fight the infection in ways that went against the ship's natural instincts. She made the ship's immune system attack itself temporarily, Lyra Lee said with amazement. She made it destroy the infected parts, even though that should have killed the ship. But it worked. The ship survived and got better. The memory pool suddenly went dark. Lyra Lee removed her hands from the console, looking exhausted. The ship won't show us anymore, she said. But I think we learned something important. Jake nodded. Humans think differently than other species. We don't follow the same logical patterns that bioships expect. That's why we can find solutions that seem impossible. And that's why the ships are afraid of us. They heard footsteps in the corridor outside. Captain Zara appeared in the doorway, her forearms crossed with worry. How is Dr. Kira? Lyra Lee asked immediately. Worse, Captain Zara replied. The infection is spreading faster now. Dr. Finn says she has maybe 12 hours left, and the ship's systems are starting to fail in multiple sections. Jake felt his heart racing. What kind of infection is it exactly? Dr. Finn thinks it's artificial. Something designed to attack bio-ship healing systems specifically. He's never seen anything like it, Lyra Lee gasped. A weapon? Someone made this to hurt bioships? That's what we think. But we don't know how to fight it. Jake stared at the dark memory pool. All those images of humans doing impossible things, with bioships, were swimming in his mind. Dr. Hartwell reprogramming ship systems. Amy Chen making ships heal in unnatural ways. I need to see the infection for myself, Jake said suddenly. Not just in the medical bay. I need to see how it's affecting the ship's core systems. Captain Zara looked uncertain. That would mean going into the biocore section. Only the ship's senior botanist is normally allowed there. It's too dangerous for someone who doesn't understand biosystems. My mother is the senior botanist, Lyra Lee said, and she's unconscious. But I have some training. I could guide Jake. Absolutely not, Captain Zara said firmly. If something goes wrong in the biocore, we could lose the whole ship. Jake looked at both of them. If we don't do something, we're going to lose Dr. Kira and probably the ship anyway. The memories showed that humans can interface with bioships in ways other species can't. Maybe that's what we need right now. It's too risky, Captain Zara insisted. Everything is risky. Now, Lyra Lee said quietly. But doing nothing is the biggest risk of all. Captain Zara was quiet for a long moment. Her compound eyes looked from Jake to Lyra Lee and back again. If you're going to try this, you'll need help, she said finally. I'll talk to Security Chief, Rebecca Jones. If you're going into the biocore, you'll need someone watching your back. Jake felt a mixture of fear and determination. The ship's memories had shown him that humans could do amazing things with bioships, but they had also shown him how terrified the ships were of human interference. When do we start? He asked. As soon as possible, Lyra Lee replied. My mother doesn't have much time left. As they left the memory core room, Jake noticed that the ship's walls were pulsing with more agitation than ever. It was like the Star Weaver knew what they were planning and was getting more frightened by the minute. but Jake also noticed something else in the bio patterns on the walls. Hidden among the fear, there seemed to be something that looked almost like hope. Security Chief Rebecca Jones was not happy about the plan. She stood in the corridor outside the biocore access tunnel, checking her equipment for the third time. "This is crazy," she muttered. Her short brown hair was pulled back tight, and her jaw was set with determination mixed with worry. "I've been on bioships for 10 years, and I've never heard of anyone trying to interface directly with a ship's brain." Jake adjusted the biosuit that Lyra Lee had found for him. It felt strange and alive against his skin, like wearing someone else's clothes that were still warm. "The memories showed that humans have done it before," Jake said. "Dr. Hartwell, Amy, Chen, others. If they could do it, maybe I can too." "Those were trained specialists," Rebecca pointed out. "You're an engineer." "Sometimes being an engineer is exactly what you need," Lyra Lee said, as she sealed her own biosuit. "Engineers fix things that are broken. And right now, everything is broken." They had checked on Dr. Kira just before coming here. She was unconscious now, and the dark purple infection had spread across half of the medical bay's biosystems. Dr. Finn said her breathing was getting weaker every hour. The ship itself was showing signs of serious illness, too. Lights flickered in random patterns throughout the corridors. Some of the wall-mounted biosensors had gone completely dark. The Star Weaver's heartbeat, usually so steady, now had an irregular rhythm that made everyone nervous. "Remember the plan," Lyra Lee said as they approached the access tunnel. "I guide us through the ship's organic passages to reach the biocore. Rebecca watches for any dangerous reactions from the ship's immune system. Jake tries to interface with the core to understand what's attacking it." "And if the ship tries to stop us?" Rebecca asked. "Then we improvise," Jake said. "From what I saw in the memories, that's what humans do best." The access tunnel was unlike anything Jake had experienced before. Instead of walking through corridors, they were crawling through what felt like the inside of a giant's blood vessel. The walls were soft and wet, pulsing with the ship's circulation system. Glowing nutrients flowed past them in streams of different colors. "Stay close to me," Lyra Lee whispered. "The ship is already agitated. If we get separated, you might trigger defensive responses." As they moved deeper into the ship's body, Jake could feel the Star Weaver's growing distress. The tunnel walls seemed to squeeze tighter around him. Small tentacle-like sensors reached out to touch him, then pulled back quickly as if he was too hot to handle. "It really doesn't want me here," Jake said. "The biocore is the ship's most vulnerable spot," Lyra Lee explained. "It's like its brain and heart combined. The ship probably thinks you're going to hurt it." "But that's not what the humans in the memories were doing, was it?" Jake asked as they crawled forward. "They weren't trying to hurt the ships. No, they were trying to help. But the ships were still terrified because they couldn't understand how the humans were able to do what they did." Rebecca suddenly held up her hand for them to stop. "Do you hear that?" They listened carefully. There was a new sound mixed in with the ship's usual biological noises. It was like a low moan, full of pain and confusion. "The ship is in distress," Lyra Lee said. "The infection must be getting worse." They continued moving, but now the tunnel started to change around them. What had been smooth walls before now showed dark purple veins running through them. The infection was spreading even into the deepest parts of the ship. "This is worse than I thought," Jake said. "If the infection reaches the biocore, the ship will die for sure." "And we'll all die with it," Rebecca added grimly. The tunnel suddenly opened into a vast chamber. Jake's breath caught in his throat. The biocore was beautiful and terrifying. At the same time, it looked like a giant tree made of light, with branches that reached in all directions through the ship. But now, many of those branches were turning dark purple with infection. "There," Lyra Lee pointed to the center of the tree-like structure. "That's the primary neural cluster. The ship's consciousness lives there." Jake could see pulses of light moving through the healthy branches, like thoughts flowing through a brain. But where the infection had taken hold, those pulses were chaotic and wrong. "How do I interface with it?" Jake asked. "Normally, only senior botanists like my mother can do it safely. You have to touch the neural cluster and let your mind merge with the ship's consciousness. But for humans..." Lyra Lee looked uncertain. I don't know what will happen. Rebecca checked her scanner. Whatever. We need to do it fast. I'm reading massive system failures throughout the ship. We've got maybe an hour before everything shuts down. Jake walked toward the central neural cluster. As he got closer, the ship's distress became almost overwhelming. The chamber filled with alarm signals, flashing lights, urgent biochemical releases, even sounds that might have been the ship trying to speak. It's panicking, Lyra Lay said. It thinks you're going to take control of it like the humans in the memories did. Jake stopped just in front of the neural cluster. It was a swirling mass of biolight about the size of his head, connected to thousands of nerve pathways that ran throughout the ship. I'm not here to control you, Jake said out loud, hoping the ship could understand him somehow. I'm here to help! Dr. Kira is sick and you're sick too. We need to work together to get better. The ship's panic signals got even stronger. It's not listening, Rebecca said. Maybe this was a bad idea. But Jake noticed something in the chaotic light patterns. Hidden among all the fear and confusion, there were other signals, weaker ones, but they were there. Wait, he said. I think part of the ship does want help. Look at those patterns there. He pointed to small pulses of clear light that seemed to be fighting against the purple infection. The ship's immune system, Lyrelai realized. It's trying to fight the infection, but it doesn't know how. Jake took a deep breath and reached out toward the neural cluster. The moment his hand made contact, everything changed. Suddenly, he was not in the chamber anymore. He was inside the ship's mind, experiencing its thoughts and feelings directly. The fear was overwhelming, wave after wave of terror that this human was going to reprogram its mind, change its nature, make it into something it was not. But Jake also felt the ship's pain. The infection was like poison spreading through its body, destroying everything it touched. The ship was dying, and it knew it. I'm not here to change you, Jake said, though he was not sure if he was speaking out loud or just thinking. I'm here to help you understand what's attacking you. Through the ship's senses, Jake could see the infection more clearly now. It was not just a random disease. It was definitely artificial, designed specifically to attack bioship healing systems. Worse, it was smart. It adapted to whatever the ship tried to do to fight it. It's learning from your immune responses, Jake told the ship. Every time you try to heal yourself, it figures out how to stop you from healing. The ship's consciousness seemed to focus on him with surprise. This was information it had not understood before. But I think I know how to beat it, Jake continued. We have to do something it doesn't expect, something that goes against your natural instincts. Jake felt the ship's confusion and fear. What the human was suggesting sounded dangerous, maybe impossible. Trust me, Jake said. Just like Dr. Kira trusted the ship to take care of her. Sometimes you have to trust others to help you do things you can't do alone. For a moment, Jake felt the ship's resistance wavering. Maybe, just maybe, this human was different from the ones in its fearful memories. But then new alarms started going off throughout the ship. Dr. Kira's condition was getting critical, and time was running out for both the botanist and the ship itself. Inside the ship's consciousness, Jake felt like he was drowning in an ocean of fear and pain. The Star Weaver's mind was vast and alien, full of thoughts that moved in patterns no human brain was designed to understand. But somehow, he was starting to make sense of it. Show me how the infection works, Jake said to the ship's consciousness. Let me see what it's doing to you. Reluctantly, the ship shared its experiences. Jake felt the infection like acid burning through healthy tissue. But more than that, he could see how clever it was. Every time the ship tried to heal itself, the infection learned from that healing and became immune to it. It's like a parasite that gets stronger every time you fight it, Jake realized. No wonder your normal healing isn't working. Through the ship's memories, Jake saw how the infection had started. It came from the plant samples that Dr. Kira had collected, but this was no natural disease. Someone had designed it specifically to destroy bioships. The Shadowkin, the ship's consciousness whispered to him, sharing a memory of dark vessels attacking trade routes. They created this weapon to kill ships like me. Jake felt anger rising in his chest. The Shadowkin were using Dr. Kira's research against her own ship. They had turned her love of botany into a weapon that was now killing her. But I think we can beat them. Jake said. The infection is smart, but it has one weakness. It can only learn from healing patterns it has seen before. If we do something completely new, something no bioship has ever tried, it won't know how to adapt. The ship's fear spiked again. New things are dangerous. Unknown healing could kill me faster than the infection. Or it could save you, Jake replied. And Dr. Kira, too. Outside the neural interface, Lyreley was getting worried. Jake had been connected to the biocore for almost 10 minutes now, and his body was completely still. The ship's alarm systems were going crazy, and she could see sweat pouring down his face. "Is he okay?" Rebecca asked, keeping watch at the chamber entrance. "I don't know," Lyreley admitted. "This kind of interface has never been tried before. For all we know, the ship could be accidentally killing him." Suddenly, Jake's body convulsed. His eyes snapped open, but he did not disconnect from the neural cluster. "Lyreley!" he called out, his voice strained. "I need you to interface with your mother's consciousness. She's still connected to the ship through the medical bay." "What? How is that possible?" "The infection created a link between her and the ship when it started spreading. She's unconscious, but part of her mind is still active inside the ship's bio-network. I need her botanical knowledge to make this work." Lyreley looked around frantically. "But I can't interface with the biocore like you're doing. I'm not trained for that level of connection." "You don't need to connect to the core," Jake said urgently. "Just touch one of the smaller neural branches. Your elven abilities should let you reach her consciousness through the ship's network." Rebecca stepped forward. "This is getting too dangerous. We should abort and try to find another solution." "There is no other solution," Jake said firmly. "Dr. Kira has maybe 30 minutes left, and the ship's core systems are failing. If we don't do this now, we'll all die anyway." Lyreley took a deep breath and approached one of the glowing branches that extended from the central core. She placed her hand on it and immediately gasped. "I can feel her," she whispered. "Mother's consciousness is there, but it's very weak." "Tell her what I'm planning," Jake said. "The ship needs to reset its entire immune system. Basically, it has to shut down all healing functions and then restart them with completely new patterns. But if we do it wrong, both she and the ship will die." Lyreley closed her eyes and concentrated. Through the neural network, she could sense her mother's fading presence. "Mother, can you hear me? Jake has a plan, but he needs your help." Dr. Kira's consciousness stirred weakly. "Lyreley, what's happening?" "You're connected to the ship through the infection. Jake is interfacing with the biocore. He thinks he can save both you and the ship, but he needs your botanical expertise." Even in her weakened state, Dr. Kira's scientific mind began to work. "An immune system reset? That's incredibly dangerous. The ship could go into total system failure." "But it might work," Lyreley asked desperately. It could work. But the timing has to be perfect. And we need to give the ship new immune patterns to replace the old ones. Patterns the infection has never seen before." Through the neural link, Jake felt Dr. Kira's consciousness joining the connection. Suddenly, he had access to decades of botanical and bioship knowledge. "Dr. Kira, can you help me design new healing patterns?" Jake asked. "I can try," she replied, weakly. "But I don't understand how you're interfacing with the ship like this. Humans aren't supposed to be able to do direct neural connections." "I guess humans are full of surprises," Jake said with a slight smile, even though his body was trembling from the strain of the connection. Together, they began to work. Dr. Kira provided the biological knowledge while Jake contributed human creativity and problem-solving approaches that the ship had never experienced before. They designed new immune response patterns that combined elven botanical wisdom with human engineering principles. "This could work," Dr. Kira said with growing excitement. "But the ship has to be willing to trust us completely. It has to shut down its defenses and let us rebuild them from scratch." Jake felt the ship's terror at this suggestion. Shutting down its immune system would leave it completely vulnerable. If their plan failed, the ship would die instantly. "I know it's scary," Jake said to the ship's consciousness, "but sometimes you have to take risks to survive. Dr. Kira is risking her life to help you. I'm risking my mind being damaged by this interface. We're all in this together." The ship hesitated. Its fear of humans was so deep, so fundamental to its nature. Look at what we've accomplished already, Jake continued. You let me into your mind, and I didn't try to control you. Dr. Kira shared her knowledge to help you, not to change you into something else. We're not your enemies. We're your friends. Slowly, gradually, Jake felt the ship's resistance beginning to break down. Maybe humans were different than its fears had told it. Maybe trust was possible. All right, the ship's consciousness finally whispered. I will try to trust you, but if this kills me, at least I will die fighting instead of just giving up. It won't kill you, Jake promised, though he was not entirely sure he was telling the truth. We're going to save everyone, Dr. Kira, you, the whole crew. I can feel it. The ship began to prepare for the most dangerous procedure of its life, while Jake held on to hope that human ingenuity combined with elven wisdom would be enough to beat the Shadowkin's deadly weapon. The moment the ship began shutting down its immune system, alarms started screaming throughout the Starweaver. In the biocore chamber, the lights flickered wildly as essential systems went offline one by one. Jake, your vital signs are going. Crazy! Rebecca shouted, checking her scanner. Your heart rate is through the roof! Jake could barely hear her. Inside the neural interface, he was experiencing the ship's shutdown like it was happening to his own body. Every system that went offline felt like losing a sense. When the ship's circulation slowed, Jake felt his own blood moving sluggishly. When the atmospheric processors shut down, he struggled to breathe. Stay with us, Jake, Lyra called out. She was still connected to her mother's consciousness through the smaller neural branch. Mother says the shutdown is going according to plan. But Jake could feel how terrified the ship was. As each system shut down, the Starweaver became more vulnerable. The infection was spreading faster now, moving into areas that had no defenses left to stop it. Now comes the hard part, Dr. Kira's consciousness whispered through the neural link. We have to convince the ship to accept completely new immune patterns. Patterns that go against everything it has learned about healing itself. Jake focused all his energy on the task. Using the ship's connection to Dr. Kira's botanical knowledge, he began to introduce new healing concepts. Instead of fighting the infection directly, the new immune system would isolate infected areas and regrow healthy tissue around them. Instead of trying to destroy the infection's adaptability, the new system would out-adapt it by constantly changing its own patterns. It's like fighting fire with fire, Jake explained to the ship's consciousness. We make your immune system as smart and changeable as the infection itself. The ship resisted at first. These new patterns felt wrong, dangerous, unnatural. But as Jake guided it through the process, something amazing began to happen. The infection, which had learned to counter every traditional bioship healing method, had no defense against these hybrid human-elven techniques. It's working! Dr. Kira's consciousness grew stronger as the infection around her began to weaken. The Shadowkin weapon doesn't know how to adapt to healing patterns it has never encountered before. In the medical bay, Dr. Finn watched in amazement as the dark purple infection began to fade from Dr. Kira's biobed. Her breathing grew steadier and color returned to her pale cheeks. Captain Zara, you need to see this, Dr. Finn called out over the ship's communication system. The infection is actually retreating. Throughout the ship, the crew watched as the spreading purple infection began to pull back. Corrupted biosystems started to glow with healthy light again. The Starweaver's irregular heartbeat gradually returned to its normal steady rhythm. But the process was taking a terrible toll on Jake. His body was convulsing more frequently, and blood was trickling from his nose. The human brain was not designed for this kind of direct interface with a bioship's consciousness. Jake, you have to disconnect. Rebecca grabbed his shoulder, trying to pull him away from the neural cluster. You're going to kill yourself. Not yet, Jake gasped. Almost finished. Inside the neural interface, Jake felt the ship's consciousness changing. The fear that had defined its relationship with humans was being replaced by something new. Wonder, gratitude, trust. I understand now, the ship whispered to him. Humans are not dangerous because you want to hurt us. You are dangerous because you can help us in ways we never imagined possible. That's right, Jake replied, his mental voice growing weaker, as his physical body reached its limits. We're different. But different can be good. Different can save lives. The final infected areas cleared from the ship's systems. Dr. Kira's vital signs stabilized completely. The Starweaver's biosystems hummed with new health and vitality. It's done, Dr. Kira's consciousness said with relief and amazement. The infection is completely gone. And the new immune patterns you created, they're incredible. The ship is actually stronger now than it was before. Jake smiled and began to disconnect from the neural interface. But the process had drained him completely. As soon as his hand left the neural cluster, he collapsed to the chamber floor. "Jake!" Lyrali rushed to his side. "Rebecca, help me get him to the medical bay." When Jake woke up 3 days later, the first thing he saw was Dr. Kira's face smiling down at him. She looked healthy and strong, with no trace of the infection that had nearly killed her. "How do you feel?" she asked gently. "Like I got hit by a cargo transport," Jake said weakly. "But I'm alive. Are you okay? Is the ship okay?" "We're both fine," Dr. Kira assured him. "Better than fine, actually. The new immune systems you and I designed together have made the ship incredibly resistant to biological weapons. Captain Zara says other bioship crews are asking for the technical details so they can protect themselves against Shadowkin attacks." Jake tried to sit up, and Dr. Kira helped him. "Where's Lyrali?" "Right here," came a familiar voice from the doorway. Lyrali walked in carrying a tray of food and looking much happier than Jake had seen her in days. "I brought you something to eat. You've been unconscious for so long I was starting to worry you might not wake up. It takes more than a little neural interface to keep a human down," Jake said with a grin. Dr. Kira laughed. "Actually, what you did should have been impossible. No human has ever maintained that level of neural connection with a bioship before. Dr. Finn thinks you might have permanently changed how your brain works. Is that bad?" "We don't think so. In fact, the ship wants to talk to you when you're feeling better." Jake raised his eyebrows. "The ship wants to talk to me? How?" "It's learned to communicate through the bioconsoles now," Lyrali explained. "Ever since you interfaced with it, the ship has been much more talkative. It's like you helped it find its voice." Over the next few days, as Jake recovered his strength, he discovered that his relationship with the Star Weaver had changed completely. The ship no longer feared him. Instead, it actively sought his input on various systems and problems. When Jake walked through the corridors now, the lights brightened in greeting instead of dimming in fear. Captain Zara officially asked Jake to become the ship's first human bioship liaison, a position that had never existed before. His job would be to help bridge the gap between human thinking and bioship consciousness. "Other bioships are requesting human crew members now," Captain Zara explained. "Your success has shown that humans and bioships can work together in ways that benefit everyone." Jake accepted the position, but on one condition. "I want Lyrali as my partner. She knows more about bioship systems than anyone except her mother, and she helped make all of this possible." Lyrali's eyes lit up with excitement. "You want me to help you teach other humans and bioships to work together?" "I can't think of anyone better for the job," Jake said honestly. Dr. Kira smiled proudly at her daughter. "I think that's a wonderful idea, and I have some research proposals that could use both human creativity and elven botanical knowledge." 6 months later, Jake stood in the ship's biogardens with Lyrali, watching new hybrid plants that combined human agricultural techniques with elven growing methods. The Star Weaver had developed several new biosystems based on the successful cooperation between its crew members. "You know," Lyrali said as she carefully tended a plant that glowed with soft blue light, "I never thought I would be grateful for a Shadowkin attack, but if it hadn't happened, we never would have discovered how well humans and bioships can work together." Jake nodded, feeling the ship's contentment through the biosensors in the walls. "Sometimes the best discoveries come from the worst situations. Fear can teach us things, but trust teaches us even more." The Star Weaver pulsed its lights in a pattern that Jake had learned meant agreement and happiness. The ship was no longer afraid of the human who had once terrified it. Instead, it was proud to be part of a new era of cooperation between species. And in the biogardens, where Dr. Kira continued her research with new safety protocols, hybrid plants grew strong and healthy, representing the best of what different species could accomplish when they worked together instead of fearing each other. The galaxy was about to become a much more interesting place.